So now that we've learned how to add items to a specific point in time in an array at the beginning or the end or anywhere in the middle, and we've also covered mutable methods and immutable ways of all of those approaches, we're going to have a look at doing essentially the exact same thing, but with removing items from an array. So we're going to stick with our constant of drinks with our 3 items inside, and here we're just logging out our drinks. Now, the first thing that we can look at is our mutable methods. Now, for this, we're going to adopt the same or a similar approach, and we're going to do the beginning, the end, and followed by the middle. So let's say we want to remove an item from the beginning of our array. That's in fact going to be our lemonade. Now, with a mutable approach, what we would do is say drinks, and when we hit the dot, we then see all these methods on the prototype. Now, the one that we're looking for is not something that you'd expect it to be called. It's called the shift method. And you can see here that this removes the first element from an array and then simply returns it. So the key word here is that it returns it. So not only do we have a mutated array, but we also get back that item that was removed. So we could say const removed equals drinks.shift, and we can go and console log both of these out. So in the console on the right, we'll go ahead and see lemonade. That's our first item that's been removed and returned all in one. So we're mutating this array, simply returning it to our constant of removed, and we're simply logging both of them out. And finally, we have that drinks array. So at this point in time, our array has been successfully mutated. So using our shift method essentially gives us a mutable approach. But what if we want to look at an immutable way of doing so? So to do this, we would say something like const new drinks equals a new array, because when we use an immutable pattern, we do not directly mutate an existing array. So what we're going to do is demonstrate how we can remove something from an array, produce a brand new array, whilst not affecting our initial one. Now, for this, we're going to use the spread operator, and we're going to spread in our drinks. Now, if we say slice, so if we'll just log out our new drinks, this sets this up for our slice. Now, the arguments that we want to pass into slice, we can pass in 0 and 0. And what this does is it will slice the element at 0. So that means that we also need to produce another operation. We're going to say drinks, and we want to slice it again. But this time, we need to step ahead one more index than 0. So instead of 0, we're going to plus 1. We can save this out, and you can see that we have now removed lime from our array. We just have peach up here. Now, typically, how we'd do this, we'd have an index that we want to essentially remove it from, and we would dynamically do something like this, where we'd pass in the index, and then again pass in the index, but we want to do it dynamically and plus 1. So we could then go ahead and change the index to 1, and you can see that lime is the only thing that's left in our array because we're removing that second item. So in fact, using our slice approach allows us to remove an item from an array absolutely anywhere. So there's no reason we can't specify index of 0, and all of a sudden the first item in the array has been removed. But also we can apply this, and we could say our drinks.length, and we could say -1 because obviously things are 0-based index, and that goes ahead and removes the last item in the array. So this is more of a dynamic approach, but depending on what we want to do, this works absolutely perfectly. So now that we've covered the beginning in a mutable way, let's also cover the end of the array. Now, instead of having everything being removed, what we're going to do is just comment these out for now. We're going to say const removed equals drinks. Now, instead of shift or slice or splice, we have a rather fun sounding method called pop. Now, you can see when we save this out, we are returned our item peach. And then the array that we're interested in is in fact our drinks down here, which you can see has the first and second value. So we're successfully removing the last item from this array. So we know now that if we want a mutable way that's going to mutate this initial array, we want to remove things from the beginning, we use shift. From the end, we use pop. And if we want to remove an item from absolutely anywhere, we need to use this slice approach. And this is the approach that I would typically recommend us using anyway. It uses an immutable pattern, so we're not mutating any of the existing items. We could go ahead actually and just confirm this by removing our initial items. And you can see here that we have our new drinks and the drinks. There's no mutable operations which are happening here. And we can confirm this because our new drinks is being logged out before all of the drinks above. And you can see that here we have all 3 items. So nothing is being touched. Everything's absolutely fine because we're using an immutable approach. Now, this slice actually returns us a portion of the array. We've learned a little bit about this already. And then once we have that array, we're spreading the result of that array into a new array. And then again, we're spreading the result of this into our new drinks array. And everything works as intended.